My thing is that I've been asking questions about my money. And when I began asking questions about my money, suddenly Lori Schiller has got no response regarding my money. I want my money. This is not fair. And Wells Fargo has no questions and answers with regarding my money. This is not fair. And Lori Schiller and Wells Fargo have this guardianship petition about keeping me away from my money. This is not right. And you know this is not fair. And this guy named Bernie Young, I know for a fact that Bernie Young used...
Welcome to Code Black Facts, where we talk about all things black, to include news and viral videos, mental health, self-love, self-care, self-development, black women issues, crime stories, and black history. If you are interested in any of these topics, please subscribe to my channel, like, share, and don't forget to comment below.
If you're anything like me, then you're probably wondering what happened to Wendy Williams. Like, how did Wendy get to where she is today? And so out of those thoughts that I've had, I'm like, well, let me look into some of this stuff. So in this video, I basically came up with the timeline. And then, of course, I have my own questions because, again, I'm looking at this whole thing like, okay, Wendy's bank petitions the court to freeze her account, and then shortly after that, now she has a guardianship, right? And you know, it's not some family member that they chose or a close friend of Whitney's. They chose some random person. And then when you look at other guardianships or other conservatorships, such as the Britney Spears, you know, at least Britney had her dad. Now some may argue that her dad was really, you know, not helping at all. He was really after her money. But either way, it was still a family member. Whereas in Wendy's case, there's no family member. But that don't just happen by chance. They don't just do any, mini, mighty, mo. So either somebody was tipped off, something. And so going through this timeline, in this video, I've created a timeline. So we're going to talk about that timeline. And within the timeline, I think, you know, we will be able to see like exactly what happened, right? Because there's some very key things that happen, you know, that kind of kicked this whole thing off. Because I don't believe that it was by chance that her bank just one day said, hey, you know, Wendy's out of her mind and we're going to freeze her account. No, somebody had to tip them off. Something happened, right? So go ahead and stay tuned, and we're going to go through this timeline. And then, of course, I'm going to give my opinions. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So Wendy Williams was a prominent figure in the entertainment industry, known for her bold personality and outspoken opinions. Before Wendy made it to the top, she had to carve out her own lane in gossip media, starting with her radio show. In 2008, Wendy launched The Wendy Williams Show, making it her first of its kind and shortly becoming a household name and a source of entertainment for millions of viewers. Wendy Williams' rise to fame was not without its challenges. She faced criticism and backlash for her outspoken opinions and controversial statements. However, she remained unapologetically herself, never shying away from expressing her thoughts and feelings. Despite the challenges she faced, Wendy Williams managed to build a successful career in the entertainment industry. Her talk show became a platform for celebrities to promote their projects and share personal stories. With her unique interviewing style and witty humor, she captured the attention of audiences around the world. Beyond her career in television, Wendy Williams was open about her personal struggles, including her health issues, troubles with addiction, and relationship problems. Most recently, Wendy's problems started with her health issues, which led to her having to take extended time off from her show and ultimately forcing her to retire early. Okay, so before we jump right into the timeline, I wanted to get clear on what is a guardianship. Okay, so this is what many believe Wendy Williams is under. So, the definition of a guardianship varies depending on the state in which you are located. So, in New York City, which is where the Wendy Williams and Wells Fargo conflict is, there are three types of guardianships, right? So, the first one is called an Article 17A. And this type of guardianship is reserved for adults age 18 or older with a developmental or intellectual disability. All right. This type of guardianship, guardians typically can make most decisions for the incapacitated person. All right. And then the second guardianship is known as the Article 81 guardianship. This type of guardianship only permits the guardian to manage the needs of the incapacitated person, whether those needs be personal or financial in nature. And then the last guardianship is the guardianship of a child. And I'm not going to even go over that one because obviously Wendy Williams is not a child. So you know it has to be one of the two. So the Article 17A guardianship or the Article 81 guardianship. So it's one of the two. And the reason why this cannot be confirmed is because Wendy Williams court documents are sealed. So because they are sealed, nobody can, find out exactly what type of guardianship she is under. However, we know it's one of them because we see what has happened to Wendy, and then we hear the reports from her family members and her friends being under some type of guardianship. All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, get clear on what the courts consider an incapacitated person. Okay, so an incapacitated person is a person who is incapable of managing their own property and or personal needs, or they are likely to be harmed because they cannot understand the consequences of not being able to manage their property and or personal needs. The proposed subject of the guardianship is referred to as an alleged incapacitated person. This is short for AIP because their alleged inability to handle their own affairs is only the petitioner's opinion. So, in other words, the AIP's incapacitation has not yet been proven. The courts generally do their due diligence in ensuring that the guardianship is actually warranted before granting it, since this type of arrangement can severely limit a person's rights. If after reviewing evidence and testimony, the court declares the AIP, so that's the alleged incapacitated person, to be incapacitated, then the proposed guardian must complete guardianship training and be approved by the court prior to being officially appointed to their role. All right. Also, when they are appointed, according to Article 81 guardian, the person can be appointed to manage a person's welfare, property, or both. Once the guardian is appointed, the judge will specify what decisions the guardian can make and what decisions the incapacitated person can make based on the latter needs. All right. While it is usually a family member of the incapacitated person who is appointed to act as their guardian, the court can also appoint a previously trained guardian or social service agency to take on the role, according to the New York Unified Court System website. All right. So I think it was very interesting that they chose some random person because Wendy has family. Wendy has a son. Wendy has both her parents who are still living. Wendy has a sister and a brother. Wendy has close friends. So the fact that the court did not take any one of those people into consideration, in my opinion, is shady. All right. In my opinion, to me, it spells financial gain. Because typically that is what is done, because that would be typically what is in the best interest of the person. Especially if, a family member can take the training and then prove that they are in fact able to do the guardianship, right? And so there's ways that they could have did that, but they chose not to. So that's another thing too. Now, let's go ahead and just jump into this timeline. Now, it is common for a financial guardian in New York to have the following duties: paying bills, making gifts on behalf of the person, managing the person's assets, and entering into contracts. And, to me, I get the paying bills, but that whole entering into contracts and stuff like that, that don't sit well with me, because if it's some random person that you do not know, this person don't know you from a hole in the ground. And now they're able to enter you into contracts and they don't even know you like that. That don't sit right with me. Okay, so starting with July 2021, Wendy made her final appearance on her talk show. In September of 2021, reports surfaced that Wendy was transported to the hospital for calls went in for an individual in need of psychiatric services. In January of 2022, Wendy requested her bank account statements because she suspected fiduciary misconduct. That's basically a person who she entrusted over her finances, and she reported misconduct of that person, and she wanted to switch to another financial institution, right? And so this was done to Wells Fargo. Now, and also in January of 2022, Lori Sheeler, which is one of Whitney's financial advisors, claimed that Wendy was of unsound mind. So Wells Fargo decided to freeze Wendy's accounts. And then Wells Fargo decided to petition the court to place Wendy under a temporary financial guardianship. So from there, in February of 22, Wendy fires her entire team, including both of her financial advisors. Also in February of 2022, Wendy's legal team files an emergency order with the with New York Supreme Court for her bank accounts to be frozen. And then March of 2022, one of Wendy's financial advisors files a petition to be appointed Wendy's financial guardian after being fired, and after Wendy had already claimed that she did not want anything to do with neither one of her financial advisors, who she both fired. Also in March of 2022, the courts appointed Wendy's guardian. And then also in March of 2022, Wendy posted a video on her Instagram claiming that one of her financial advisors used $100,000 of her money to hire a law firm to pursue a guardianship over Wendy. Wendy also alleged that her former doctor, the one that she fired, shared her medical information with her financial advisor, who she also fired previously, and it was shared without her consent. In February of 2024, Wendy's care team issued a press release stating that Wendy had been diagnosed with dementia and aphasia. And basically, aphasia is basically where she is diagnosed with having issues with communication, so with her speech. In 2020, and then I don't have to go over what dementia is. Everybody knows what dementia is. Dementia affects your cognitive thinking and behavior. And then in February of 2024, that's when Lifetime aired the Where's Whitney Williams series. Now, I think it kind of goes, and this is no disrespect to Wendy, but it kind of goes without saying, how Wendy showed up in that Lifetime series. And I think we can all agree that it was not good. And, as I went through all of, what happened throughout her timeline, it makes me think it's like these people are playing chess, right? And in my mind, I'm like, it just seems like everybody's working together. So I don't know if you guys know, or if you guys have ever been fired. I've never been fired, but I can tell you right now, if I was fired from a job, or someone fired me from providing my services, the last thing that I'm going to do is try to bogart my way back into their life, unless there's some money involved. You get what I'm saying? So for her to fire both of her financial advisors and then they go back to petition the court, hey, pick me. I want to be her guardian. Hey, by the way, she fired me. But by the way, something wrong. Now, and let's look at it like this, you guys. Think about it like this. Wendy, over this amount of time, starting with when she first passed out on her TV show, Wendy was up under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of pressure, right? Wendy went through a public divorce. Wendy, had to, basically go through that in the public's eye. And then, she learned that her longtime ex-husband, Kevin, what was his name? Kevin Hunter, had been having an affair with a woman for several years. And then they had a baby. And then not only that, she had to pay him spousal support. And then not only that, she could have possibly relapsed and started drinking again and possibly drugs. And so when you add all of that together and then you try to go do the right thing and seek help, so now you're going to a mental health professional to seek the help you need, right? And in doing that, the people who you think you can trust over your accounts with some of your information, who you pay a lot of money a year, who you think you can entrust, takes that information and then plots against you and uses it against you. Your mind can only take so much. That's why there's a such thing called, when somebody break your mind, when they break your spirit, when they break you down. And I think all of that could have possibly added to breaking her mind, breaking her spirit, breaking her down. Now, yeah, it's going to look like she has mental health issues. And so it's not far-fetched to understand how all of that going on at the same time can have an effect on your mind. It would have an effect on anybody's mind, anybody's spirit. And so one thing that I know about, strong-willed people who are able to bounce back and come back from different things that they've been through. And we've heard these stories all over. I mean, you hear them from people who, play sports like football, basketball, all the hardships they've been through, all this kind of stuff. And you hear about how they was broken down to they was just nothing. And then they were able, with the support of people or with the willpower, they were able to yield themselves back up and bring themselves out of that hole. But see, what we don't talk about are the people who are unable to do that, and then what happens to them. See, a lot of times those people who are unable to do that, they go broke, or they get, really addicted to, drugs or whatever, alcohol or whatever, and they just kind of die out. But see, this is the thing. Wendy, I personally believe she probably didn't have the family members and those around her to really help her, and those in place to really make those decisions as it relates to her financial situation. And so when they appointed that guardianship, I'm just going to say, her mental health and everything probably went down because, again, you got some random person who who you've said is going to come in and take over, all these things. And now I got to submit to this person that I don't even know. And this person don't even know me. Now they get a say so. I mean, really, with everything she had going on, that might have been the last straw. Who knows? And again, this is just all what I'm thinking as I've read through the timeline, as I've, went through some of the things and kind of recanted all of this different stuff that has happened up until now. And I am more prone to believe that, of course, I think Wendy may have some mental health things going on, but I'm not, I'm not going to believe that this is something that just happened. I think that it was a combination of everything that was taking place or that had taken place in such a short period of time. Not to mention the financial responsibility that she probably has for her family, like her mom and dad, they're still living. Her son, we know he was in school and, he was still living his life. And then she's paying this spousal support. That's a lot for anybody to take on. And then you're going through all of this in the public's eye. So there's no wonder that maybe her mind broke. Maybe, it did break down. And then when you add possible, relapse, alcohol, or possible some other things to that, I mean, that right there, that's the equation right there. So that's all I have to say about this thing. You guys get down in the comment section and tell me what your thoughts are. Do you believe that everything is on the up and up and that there's no foul play? Or are you like me? You like, okay, let me ask a bunch of questions, or, let's think about it from this angle, because a lot of this stuff don't add up, y'all. It just don't add up. It's not looking right. And when there's a bunch of money, such as like $50 million involved, people will do all types of things. And I'm more of the person who, I don't put nothing past nobody, not one person. I have, lived long enough to have seen a bunch go down, not necessarily, in my own personal life, but just around me, stuff like this. Wendy Williams, this is an example of how all kinds of stuff can happen when you least expect it. You can be on top one day and then you can be on the bottom the next. The same thing that's going on with Puffy right now. Same thing with him. He was the king one day, and then now there's his downfall. So that's all I have to say. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys are able to share your opinions down in the comment section. Thank you for listening and or watching this video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to talk to you guys soon.